you, Ms. Kiggan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have the privilege of representing Virginia's 2nd Congressional District, so home to the East Coast Navy fleet. As a Navy veteran, Navy spouse, and now proud Navy mom, I certainly want to, first of all, shout out to the men and women from my district who are forward deployed in the Middle East right now, doing the tip of the spear work for the country. But every time I turn on the news and I see when they talk about the Iran conflict, it always comes up first these days. One of the first pictures they show are usually of F-35s taking off aircraft.
A tense moment unfolded during a congressional hearing as a lawmaker pressed defense officials about the future of U.S. Navy air power. With aging F-18 fighter jets still flying critical missions and global conflicts stretching military resources, questions are mounting about delays in deploying the advanced F-35. In this hearing breakdown, lawmakers raise concerns about East Coast carrier air wings, pilot training investments, long military deployments, and whether the United States is producing enough munitions to support conflicts abroad. The exchange highlights deeper worries about readiness, defense industry delays, and the pressure facing American sailors and pilots. Watch the full breakdown to understand what this means for U.S. military strength, naval strategy, and future conflicts.
F-18s taking off aircraft carriers, most likely from my district, again from the East Coast, and every once in a while they'll show an F-35. I've known that they've integrated that a little bit more. So I want to start off. You are the self-proclaimed policy guy, so something that's very important to me. I'm starting to sound like a broken record up here, but I think there's no question about the importance of the East Coast Navy, and especially the East Coast carrier air wings that we have stationed at our East Coast master jet base. We only have two. We have one on the West Coast, Naval Air Station Lemoore, and then Naval Air Station Oceana. So I want to know from the Department of War's perspective, what is the holdup? What is the delay? Because I've queried the Navy and all Navy leadership every time I can get a hold of them about what the delay is about making that policy choice decision to prioritize getting what we have in front of us, which next generation strike fighter we love to talk about. FAXX is always on table, but we have F-35s. The Marines have them on the East Coast at Cherry Point. We've got them on the West Coast, but I think no one will argue about the importance of what the East Coast Navy is doing, our East Coast aircraft carriers and our East Coast carrier air wings. So what is the plan to integrate that latest and greatest F-35 into the East Coast?
Ma'am, I regret that I'll have to defer the Navy on that, but I'll commit to get you an answer as soon as possible.
Okay. Please make that a priority because it's frustrating for us. We have 30-year-old plus F-18s that are aging. We ask these guys to be tip of the spear. In that same line, we spend millions of dollars training our pilots and a significant amount of time, 4 to 5 years, to wing those guys. We need to make sure that we're taking care of those people as well. So we spent a lot of time last Congress on quality of life issues, but let's not forget them. They're an elite fighting force. Let's treat them as such. I want to talk a lot more about Hampton Roads, just the maritime industrial base that's there. I know that's an important part of this, the National Defense Strategy. So what are your plans? Again, just prioritizing the East Coast and our role there. We have shipbuilding, we have ship repair, but what steps is the department taking to reduce acquisition and contracting delays that are slowing this ship repair and construction?
Well, thank you, ma'am. This is obviously not so much in the policy lane, but I can say from the leadership of the department and from the president, we are working very, very hard to try to get better output from our defense industry and reduce red tape in the Department of War, including, for instance, on FMS reform that's happened that we were all part of. But I think the frustration about that is felt throughout the administration and a real urgency to try to rectify the problem.
Something serious is happening inside America's military planning, and lawmakers are starting to demand answers. During a recent congressional hearing, a representative from Virginia raised alarm bells about the future of U.S. Navy air power. From aging fighter jets to long carrier deployments and weapons shortages, the questions reveal growing concerns about whether the United States is prepared for the next major conflict. Why are decades-old fighter jets still flying frontline missions? Why are new F-35 jets not being deployed faster? And is the U.S. running low on critical weapons while supporting conflicts overseas? The answers from defense officials were surprisingly vague. Let's break down the tense exchange that's raising serious questions about America's military readiness.
To try to rectify the problem.
We have the resources there in Hampton Roads. It's all under one umbrella. So please don't forget about that when making those policy decisions. And I know that the USS Ford is currently on a deployment that it could extend even up to not 10, 11 months. So I just want to know if you have any insight into what the Navy, when they're extending deployments like this, because current carrier force levels are insufficient to meet global demand signals, what risks do longer deployments pose to these readiness, maintenance cycles, and sailor retention?
Ma'am, I defer on that to the Navy and the Joint Staff, but I think we're very conscious on honoring and supporting our warfighters and also making sure that our forces are ready.
How often do you get to sit down with Navy leadership? Because it sounds like you're not communicating with them a lot.
Pretty frequently, but more on sort of strategic issues. Again, just to reiterate, I mean, I sort of know my role and what my role is, and I'm not the one trying to tell the Navy how to do their business. But I've sat down with Admiral Cottle and Secretary Phelan on a range of strategic guidance documents, on the AUKUS review, and a number of other issues. But I'm not trying to tell them how to manage, the aircraft carrier readiness schedule and that sort of thing.
Can I ask who is the one trying to tell the Navy how to do their business?
I don't know.
Okay, I'd like that name, please, when you get a chance. Switching gears a little bit, in my last remaining seconds, talk about munitions capacity and Ukraine support. The war in Ukraine, Operation Epic Fury in Iran have drawn heavily on U.S. precision munitions and air defense interceptors. Has the department increased production of key munitions such as artillery shells, air defense interceptors, and long-range missiles over the past year?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I apologize.
Has the Department of War increased production of key munitions such as artillery shells, air defense interceptors, and long-range missiles over the past year? I'm worried about.
I'd have to get you
our
specific
stockpile.
figures, ma'am, but we certainly are moving very much in the right direction. I'm confident that we're going to continue acceleration.
My time has expired. I'll yield back.
Chair, now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Morning, Mr. Colby. I want to start with a quote. Quote, from a military perspective, the focus really needs to be tightly on the Pacific, especially the first island chain in Taiwan. Does that ring a bell?
Rings a bell, sir?
That was you. Quote, some believe that Washington can conduct a major military effort in the Middle East and maintain its advantage in Asia. That's a self-comforting delusion.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscribe button for more political insights.